Okay, in this section 8-3, we're talking about factors and zeros. So the first couple of problems that we come to are asking us to factor out an expression here. And remember, from the last unit, we learned two different ways that this can be done. All right? And so the first step is with what we call the AC method. And so for my AC method, then I'll go off to the side and I'll multiply A times C. So that'll be 9 times 6, 9 times 16. And when we multiply 9 times 16, then that's going to end up giving us, let's see, 9 times 16 is 144. Okay, so now, from here, we know that we need two numbers that multiply together to get 144. But they're going to add up to 24. So the two numbers that come to mind are 12 and 12. Remember what we do with those two numbers? We now split this middle term into 9x squared. The middle term here is minus, so it's minus 12x minus 12x. And we're going to add a 16 onto the end of this. So what have I done? I've split that middle term 24x into negative 12x minus 12x. Next step, I'll group these two now together. And once that happens, I'll factor each one of them out individually. From here, I can pull out a 3 and an x. So I'll pull out a 3x. Once I do that, 9 divided by 3 is 3. Left with an x here. My sign is negative. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and the x cancels. For the next one now, since this leading term is negative, I'll pull out a negative 4 from here. 12 divided by 4, that's going to leave me with 3 and an x here. My sign now is going to be minus. Positive divided by negative. 16 divided by 4 is 4. All right, did I do it right? Yes. How do I know? Because my parentheses match. That's going to be actually the first parentheses, 3x minus 4. And the next one will be right here, the outside numbers, which is 3x minus 4. And now to finish it, notice that these two are exactly the same because that's not one of my answer choices. And so if you've got the same thing times itself twice, we can write it as 3x minus 4 squared, and now that takes us to our answer choice of C. Now, remember in the last unit we also learned a couple of special cases, and if we recognize that, we can kind of take a shortcut here. And here's what my shortcut is going to look like. Okay, the shortcut is, remember, if it fits the pattern for a perfect square trinomial, we should be able to take the square root of this number, which we can, and get 3x. Should be able to take the square root of this number, we can, and get 4. If you multiply those two together and get 12x, then double that to 24x. That should be the number that you get in the middle, and that's what we've got. So we know this is a perfect square trinomial where this is the first number, this is the last number, separated by whatever sign is here, which is minus in this case. And then, so if we recognize that as the pattern of a perfect square trinomial, we arrive at the answer much more quickly. All right? But either one of these two methods can work just fine. All right? Either one of these methods can work just fine. Okay, on the next one now, let's try and see if we can factor out the next one, 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. If we go with the AC method, we're going to have to multiply out 4 times 9, and 4 times 9 is going to give us, let's see, 36. So now I need to try to find two numbers to multiply together to make 36, but at the same time they're going to combine in the middle to get 12. The numbers that come to mind are 6 and 6, so I'm going to split that middle term up now into this. So 4x squared minus 6x minus 6x plus 9 group these two together, these two together. Then from here I can pull out a 2x. And what's left in the parentheses, 4 divided by 2 is 2, x divided by x squared is x. Said that backwards, but you know what I mean. And then from here, 6 divided by 2 makes 3. My sign is minus, don't forget that. And then the x cancels. For the next one, I'm going to pull out a negative 3, since that leading number is negative. When I do, that's going to leave me with 2x after I divide out the first one. And then minus a 3 in the second one. Okay, from here, remember the last step, to go back in and factor these part out. I need a set of two parentheses where the first set is this number, they match, which is good, 2x minus 3. And here I'll have also 2x and a minus 3. Oops. And since those two are exactly the same, I can now write it as 2x minus 3 squared. We have an answer as C. Okay? That's with the AC method. Once again, if you recognize this as a perfect square trinomial, what can we do? Square root of 4x squared is 2x. The square root of 9 is 3. I multiply that out and get 6x. If I double that, I get 12x, which is exactly what I need in the middle. And so now this number goes here, this number goes here, separated by a minus, square it, answer. Much quicker if you recognize that perfect square trinomial as the pattern. But it could be done either way. All right? Now, number 3 is a little bit different of a question. It says, what are the solutions for the quadratic? And so remember in the last lesson we talked about the term solution, roots, zeros, x-intercepts all mean the same thing. So it's looking for the place where it crosses the x-axis. How can we do that the easiest? Well, it would be to go to our calculator and see if we can't plug it in. Remember, if something's there, Doc and B will clear it off. I'll now put in the new equation, which happens to be 2x squared plus x minus 3. Let's press enter. And remember, the solutions are the place where it crosses the x-axis. It looks like there are two answers here. And so we'll go menu, analyze graph. I want the zeros, right? So lower bound goes here, upper bound goes here. All right, so there's one of my answers, 1.5 comma 0. Okay. All right, 1.5 comma 0. And let's do the same thing and get the other answer. Menu, analyze graph. And there we go. Lower bound goes here, upper bound goes here. My other 0 is 1 comma 0. Now remember, last time we wrote those as an ordered pair, both of them as an ordered pair. So last time the answer that I was getting was this. Let's see. Negative 1.5 comma 0. And what was the other one? It was 1 comma 0. However, look at my answer choices. They're not written as full ordered pairs this time. It's only the x values that's written here. Now, I don't see any 1.5. Well, what's going on here? Well, if you take 1.5 and turn it back into a fraction, that would be negative 3/2. So really the answer that we're looking for is 1 and negative 3/2. And so C is going to be our answer right here. Now, if you have problems turning this decimal into a fraction, guess what? Calculator does it for you. Go to the scratch pad. Okay, I can put negative 1.5 in here. And then if we go to menu and you go to number, it'll say approximate to fraction or convert to decimal, either one. If you start with a fraction, you want to make it a decimal. But approximate to fraction, press enter. There you go, gives you the fraction. So no excuse of not being able to tell what fraction the decimal is supposed to be. Calculator does it for you right then and there, and then we come up with the correct answer. Okay. Likewise for the Next one, number 4, same idea. I've got another quadratic. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. I'm looking for the solutions again, which are the zeros and the roots and the x-intercepts. They're all the place where it crosses the x-axis. Let's dock in B to get this out of here. Get it ready for the new one, which is going to be x squared minus x minus 2. We press enter. We see once again we've got two solutions here. Let's see what they are. Menu, analyze graph, 0. Lower bound here, upper bound here. There's one of them. One of the answers right there at -1, 0. I'll do it again. Menu, analyze the graph, 0. Lower bound to the left, upper bound to the right. And so we have 2, 0 as the other one. All right, so remember, okay, so we're not writing it as a full ordered pair like it is displayed on the calculator and like we did on the last lesson. But what we're going to do is we're going to just take the x value only of these and make those the solutions. So -1 and 2 is what we want. And so B is going to be my correct answer here. All right? So take what we've done here now. Go ahead and use that on the quiz that you can now take in Canvas.